The mall was loud enough to swallow a scream. Music pulsed from ceiling speakers. People laughed, argued, rushed past with shopping bags swinging like weapons. A fountain splashed in the center, bright and harmless, as if nothing bad could ever happen in a place built for comfort. But on the second floor near the glass railing, a little girl lifted her hand, not waving, not pointing dot, just a small, trembling motion. 2 fingers pressed together, then tapped against her wrist. Again and again. A silent signal. Down below, a single dad janitor pushing. A trash cart looked up at the exact second everyone else looked away, and his face changed before we dive in. Where are you watching from today? I love seeing how far one story can reach, sometimes farther than help ever arrives. Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how wide kindness can travel. Ethan Cole had learned how to be. Invisible gray uniform, rubber gloves in his back pocket, a ring of keys that jingled softly when he walked. He moved through the mall like a shadow, cleaning up after people who didn't notice he existed. Spilled soda, dropped fries, sticky fingerprints on shiny glass. Most days, that invisibility was a kind of peace dot, because if no one saw him, no one asked questions about the dark circles under his eyes. No one asked why a man in his 30s looked 10 years older. No one asked about the small girl waiting at home with a babysitter who charged by the hour Ethan barely had. His daughter Lily was 7, bright and stubborn. She called him Dad, like the word was a promise she trusted more than anything. Tonight, Ethan was working late again. He pushed his cart past the food court, past the smell of fried chicken and cinnamon pretzels, past teenagers filming dances near the escalator. He was tired and away sleep. Didn't fix. Then he heard it. Not a scream, not a cry, a small sound. Almost swallowed by the noise, like someone trying to breathe through panic. Ethan's eyes lifted dot up on the second floor. Near the glass railing, a little girl stood alone. She looked about 8 or 9, wearing a light blue dress with tiny flowers. Her hair was tied back, neat and careful, like someone had taken time to make her look perfect. But her eyes were not perfect. They were wide and shiny, full of fear. Around her, adults moved like she didn't exist, couples arguing, a family taking selfies, a man shouting into his phone, and behind her, slightly off to the side, a man stood too close, not holding her hand, not calling her name, just standing near enough to claim her space. His jacket was dark. His cap was low. His posture looked relaxed, but something about it felt wrong, like a door half closed. The little girl glanced at him, then glanced down over the railing. That's when she made the silent signal again, 2 fingers. Tap at the wrist, twice, then again. Ethan's cart stopped rolling. His throat went dry because Ethan knew that signal, not from a movie, from Lily's school. A month ago, the school had hosted a safety day. Firefighters came, police came, and a woman in a navy suit taught the kids one specific thing. If you can't talk, she had said, holding up her hand, show someone this. 2 fingers, tap at the wrist. It means I need help. I can't speak. Don't ask me questions. Just get me safe. Ethan remembered Lily practicing it in their kitchen, giggling. He hadn't laughed because he'd lived a life where children needed silent signals. Now he was watching one in real time. Ethan's heart slammed. He looked around for a security dot. The nearest security guard was laughing with a kiosk worker. Looking at a phone, Ethan looked up again, the girl's eyes locked on his dot, and she did it again. The silent signal. This time her hand shook. Ethan's instinct screamed, move. But another voice, older, bitter, whispered, you're just a janitor. Stay out of it. You'll get in trouble. You'll lose your job. You'll lose everything. Ethan swallowed. Then he did something that felt impossible for a man like him. He stepped out of invisibility He pushed his cart toward the escalator. Fast. Not running would draw attention. Just moving with purpose. Like he belonged there. He rode up the escalator, eyes never leaving the girl. The man beside her glanced around casually, then looked down at his phone again. Ethan reached the second floor and stepped off, pretending to adjust the trash bag on his cart. As he approached, he noticed details that made his stomach twist. The girl's shoes didn't match one sneaker, one shiny flat. Her small purse was open, zipper broken. Her lower lip trembled, but she didn't cry. Like she'd been warned not to. Ethan stopped a few feet away, acting like he was wiping the railing. The man finally looked up, eyes narrowing slightly. "Can I help you?" he asked, tone too calm. Ethan forced his voice steady. "Just cleaning," he said. The girl stared at Ethan with desperate hope. Ethan didn't look at her too long. He didn't want the man to notice the connection, but then the girl did. Something that shattered Ethan's hesitation. She pretended to trip. Her purse fell open. Small paper slipped out and fluttered toward Ethan's feet. Ethan bent down to pick it up like it was trash, but it wasn't. It was a torn piece of paper with shaky handwriting. "Not my dad." Ethan's blood went cold. He stood up slowly, holding the paper in his glove like it was a bomb. The man's eyes flicked to it. His face changed for half a second, tiny but enough. He stepped closer. "Hey," he said, voice sharper now. "Give me that." Ethan's heart pounded. He was alone. No badge, no weapon. Just a janitor cart and a child's silent signal. But he had one advantage. People didn't notice janitors, which meant Ethan could move. Before anyone realized something was wrong, he forced a polite smile. "Sorry," he said, turning slightly away like he was embarrassed. "Must have blown out of someone's bag." The man reached out, and Ethan made his choice. He pushed his cart forward, hard blocking the man's path for a split second. Just enough. Then Ethan looked at the girl and said softly, fast like a secret, "Walk with me." Her eyes widened, then she nodded small. Quick. Ethan started moving down the hallway like he was taking her to Lost Dash and Dash, found. The man followed immediately, and Ethan felt the entire mall around him bright, loud, careless, while quiet, dangerous. Chase began right in the open. Ethan didn't run. He walked like a man with a job to do, steady, calm, boring. That was the trick. The mall had cameras. It had lights. It had people everywhere. But most danger lived in the space between attention and understanding. If you looked normal, people assumed you were. Ethan pushed the cart forward, one hand on the handle, the other holding the torn paper folded inside his palm. The little girl walked beside him, tight and silent, her hands clasped in front of her, like she was trying to keep herself from shaking apart. Behind them, the man followed, 2 steps back, then 1. Then closer again. Ethan could feel him like heat. The girl's eyes darted to Ethan's face. Ethan leaned slightly closer without turning his head. "What's your name?" he murmured, barely moving his lips. The girl hesitated. Then she whispered, so soft it almost disappeared, "Maya?" Ethan nodded. "Okay, Maya," he said gently. "Stay near me." "Don't look back," Maya swallowed. She started. "Not now," Ethan whispered. "Just walk." They passed a jewelry store with glittering displays. Ethan glanced at the saleswoman inside. She was smiling, rearranging rings, living in a safe little world of sparkles. They passed a group of teens laughing near the arcade. They didn't notice Maya's pale face. They didn't notice Ethan's rigid shoulders. They didn't notice the man behind them. Ethan's mind raced. Security. He needed security, but he couldn't say, "Help, this man is kidnapping a child," without proof. In crowded places, loud accusations could turn on the wrong person. Ethan was a poor man in a uniform. The other man looked clean, confident, like someone people believed. Ethan needed a smarter move. He turned his cart toward the maintenance corridor, a hallway marked staff only. It led toward the service elevators and the security office if he could make it there. Maya's eyes widened with fear as the hallway grew quieter. "No," she whispered. Ethan crouched slightly while still moving, voice firm and gentle. "Listen," he murmured. "This hallway is for staff. That means cameras and keys and radios. It's safer. Trust me." Maya nodded shakily. They entered the corridor, the sound of the mall muffled instantly, like someone closed a door on the world. The floor changed from shiny tile to rough gray. The lights buzzed overhead. The air smelled like cardboard and cleaning chemicals. Ethan's heart pounded. He heard footsteps behind them. The man followed them into staff only, like he belonged there. That scared Ethan even more. Either he was bold, or he had done this before. Ethan reached a corner and saw a closed door. Ahead, security printed in black letters. "Thank God." He quickened his pace slightly. Maya's breath came fast. Then the man's voice cut through the corridor. No longer pretending. "Hey," he said, sharp and low. "Stop." Ethan kept walking. The man's steps sped up. "I said stop." Ethan's brain screamed. "If he grabs her, you won't win a fight. You're not strong enough. You're just tired." But Ethan had lived through tired. He'd lived through hunger. He'd lived through watching his daughter sleep while he counted coins and prayed. He wasn't strong in a movie way. He was strong in a keep going even when you're breaking way. The man grabbed the cart. Hard. The cart jerked backward. Trash bags shook. The wheels squealed. Maya let out a small gasp. Ethan's grip tightened. "Let go," he said, voice controlled. The man leaned close, eyes cold now. "That's my daughter," he hissed. "You're going to make a scene, janitor?" Maya flinched. "Ethan, looked the man in the eye. "Then say her name," he said evenly. "Say her name right now." The man blinked once. Just once. And in that blink, Ethan saw it. Hesitation. The man forced a smile. "Maya," he said quickly. "Come here, sweetheart." Maya's body stiffened. Her hands went to her sides, fingers curling into fists. Her eyes darted to Ethan like she wanted permission to survive. Ethan felt his stomach twist. He couldn't rely on the name. The man had heard it, maybe from her earlier, maybe from someone else. Ethan needed another test. "What's her mother's name?" Ethan asked calmly. The man's smile tightened. "Listen," he snapped, dropping the sweetness. "I don't have to explain my family to a guy who cleans bathrooms." Ethan's chest tightened, but he kept his face neutral. He turned slightly, placing his body between the man and Maya. "If you're her father," Ethan said, loud enough now to carry, "then come with me to security. Easy. Quick, we'll clear it up." The man's eyes narrowed. "No," he said immediately. That no was everything. Ethan took a step backward. Closer to the security door, the man's hand shot out and grabbed Ethan's shirt collar. Ethan stumbled, still holding the cart. The keys at his belt jingled loud in the quiet corridor. Maya's breath hitched. Ethan saw the man's other hand rise, ready to hit, ready to force. Ethan reacted without thinking. He swung the heavy mop handle upward, not at the man's head, but at his wrist. Thunk. The man yelped and released Ethan's collar. Ethan shoved the cart forward with all his strength, slamming it into the man's knees. The man stumbled back, swearing. Ethan grabbed Maya's hand. "Now," he said. They ran the last few steps to the security door. Ethan pounded on it with his fist. "Open up," he shouted. Inside, footsteps rushed. The door cracked open. A security guard's face appeared. "What?" Ethan shoved Maya forward. "She needs help," he said fast. "He's not her father." The guard's eyes widened. The man lunged forward. "This is insane," he shouted. "He attacked me. He's kidnapping her. The guard froze, caught in the worst kind of confusion. Ethan's voice dropped low and urgent. "Look at her," he said. "Don't look at me, look at her." The guard glanced at Maya. Maya was shaking so hard her teeth clicked. Tears finally spilled down her cheeks. Her voice came out in a tiny whisper. "He's not my dad." The guard's face hardened. He swung the door open wider. "Get in," he ordered Maya and Ethan. Then he stepped out toward the man, hand moving to his radio. The man backed up instantly, eyes darting. Ethan knew that look too. That was the look of someone deciding whether to run Dot and in the corridors. Harsh buzzing light, Ethan realized something terrifying. The man had already planned an exit. Dot, and if he ran, Maya might never be safe again. If you were there, if you saw a scared little girl and two adults claiming opposite stories, what would you do? Be honest in the comments. And if your heart is screaming, protect the child. Hit like so we remember what matters first. Dot, the man turned and he sprinted. Dot, the man ran like a fuse had been lit. 1 second he was arguing, shouting about my daughter, and the next he spun on his heel and bolted down the staff corridor fast. Desperate, knocking over a stack of flattened cardboard boxes. "Hey," the security guard shouted, already lifting his radio. "Suspect running north corridor, call it in." Ethan's instincts flared. He wanted to chase. He wanted to tackle the man, hold him until police arrived. But Ethan wasn't a trained officer. He was a tired father with a kid at home and a little girl shaking beside him. He looked down at Maya. Dot, her eyes were huge, face wet with tears, breath coming in small broken pulls like she couldn't inhale fully. She clung to Ethan's sleeve like it was the only solid thing in a spinning world. Dot, Ethan made the choice every parent makes in a crisis. He stayed with the child, closed the door. Ethan told the guard quickly, "Lock it." The guard nodded, stepping back into the security office with them. The door slammed shut with a heavy click. Dot, inside, the security room smelled like stale coffee and warm plastic. Monitors covered the wall, different angles of the mall, different floors, different exits. One guard typed fast at a keyboard. Another stood and grabbed a flashlight and baton. Maya stood in the corner, arms wrapped around herself, shivering. Ethan crouched to her level. "You're okay," he said softly. "You're safe right now." Maya's mouth trembled. He said my mom owes him money," she whispered. "He said if I don't come quiet, he'll hurt her." Ethan's throat tightened. "Where's your mom?" he asked gently. Maya sniffed. "In a store," she whispered. "She told me to wait outside the bathroom." I waited. Then he came and told me she sent him. Ethan's stomach turned. That's how it happened. Not with force at first. Dot, with lies. Ethan looked at the security guard. "We need her mother," he said urgently. "Now, before she thinks her kid just wandered off." The guard nodded, already speaking into his radio. "We have a child and security female, around 9 named Maya, possible abduction attempt. Locate mother ASAP." Ethan watched the monitors. On one screen, the staff corridor showed the man, turning a corner, disappearing. On another, a camera near a service exit showed a door swinging. "He's headed for the back," a guard muttered. "He knows the service routes." Ethan's chest tightened. If the man escaped, he could try again. Or worse, he could disappear into the city like smoke. A third guard rushed in, breathless. "He's on camera by the loading dock," she said. "We've got eyes." Ethan exhaled slightly, but his hands were still shaking. Maya's eyes stayed on him, as if she needed to make sure he wouldn't vanish too. Ethan gave her the smallest smile he could manage. "You did the right thing," he told her. "That signal, that was smart." Maya's voice was tiny. "My teacher taught us," she whispered. She said, "If you can't talk, show the sign." Ethan swallowed hard. My daughter learned it too, he said. That's how I knew. Maya blinked. You have a daughter? Ethan nodded. Yeah, he said. Her name's Lily. Maya's face softened for a second. Is she scared like me? She asked. Ethan's heart squeezed. Sometimes, he admitted. But she's brave. Maya stared at the floor, voice breaking. I'm not brave, she whispered. Ethan shook his head, firm but gentle. Brave isn't loud, he said. Brave is doing the sign even when your hands shake. Maya's tears fell again, a minute. Later, the security door burst open, and a woman stumbled in elegant coat, hair perfect, eyes wild with terror. My daughter. She cried. She spotted Maya and ran forward, dropping to her knees and pulling the girl into her arms like she was. Holding her breath in human form, Maya sobbed into her shoulder. The woman rocked her, crying, kissing her hair again and again. Oh my God. Oh my God. I turned around for 2 minutes. Ethan stood quietly, stepping back. He expected the woman to glance at him, maybe thank him, then focus on her child. Instead, she looked up sharply. Her eyes landed on Ethan's uniform. Then, her gaze moved to his name tag. Ethan. She blinked, like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. You, she whispered. Ethan frowned slightly. Ma'am? He said. Her throat worked like she was swallowing a scream. Ethan Cole? She whispered, voice trembling. Ethan's heart stuttered. Yes, he said slowly. How do you... The woman's eyes filled with tears that weren't just fear. They were old, buried. I know you, she whispered. Ethan stared at her face. Expensive makeup, diamond earrings, a posture that screamed power. But something in her eyes felt familiar, a kind of pain he recognized. What's your name? He asked, cautious. She swallowed. Claire Harrington, she said. The name didn't ring a bell, but the way she said it like it carried weight made. Ethan's stomach twist. A guard cleared his throat. Ma'am, we need to take a statement, he said. Police are on the way. Claire nodded absently, still staring at Ethan. Of course, she murmured. But her focus stayed on him like she'd found a ghost. Maya clung to her mother still. Crying. Claire stroked her hair with shaking hands, then looked back at Ethan and whispered something that didn't make sense yet. You're the man from the shelter. Ethan went cold because he hadn't heard that word in years. Shelter. A place he had tried to forget. Place where his life had been at its lowest. Have you ever been helped when you had nothing? When you felt like the world had decided you didn't matter? Right, yes, and tell me the name of the person who showed up for you. Sometimes that kind of gratitude deserves to be spoken. Ethan's mind flashed dirty carpet, thin blankets, the smell of soup and bleach. Lily's tiny hand in his, the sound of rain hitting a broken window. Claire Harrington was rich, powerful, a woman who looked like she belonged on magazine covers. What would she be doing in a shelter? And why did she remember him? Ethan's mouth went dry. What shelter? He asked quietly. Claire's voice cracked. The women's shelter downtown, she whispered. 7 years ago. Ethan's breath caught. 7 years ago, Ethan had been homeless for 3 weeks after his wife left and the rent crushed him. He'd slept in his car, then in a shelter when Lily got sick and he needed warmth. He remembered the shame like a bruise. Claire's eyes shined. You gave my sister your last sandwich, she whispered. You didn't know who she was. You didn't know anything. You just did it. Ethan stared at her, stunned because he remembered giving a sandwich to a crying woman who looked too clean to be there. He remembered her shaking hands, her bruised wrist. He remembered Lily asking, Daddy, are we okay? And Ethan saying, we will be. Claire's voice trembled. That sister, she whispered, swallowing hard, was me. Ethan's knees almost buckled. The security room felt suddenly too small. Claire Harrington, This powerful woman had once been the trembling person in a shelter, and Ethan had forgotten, but she hadn't. Outside, sirens grew louder, and Ethan realized the story was no longer just about saving Maya Dot. It was about the past catching up and asking to be faced. The sirens outside got closer, then faded slightly as police cars pulled into the mall's service entrance. Inside the security room, the air felt thick, like too many truths were trying to fit into one small space. Claire held Maya tightly, rocking her as if she could undo time with motion. Maya's sobs had softened into quiet hiccups, but her fingers still clutched her mother's coat like it was a rope keeping her from falling. Ethan stood near the wall, heart pounding, mind spinning. Claire Harrington. The name meant something. Now not from memory, but from the mall itself. Her face was on the wall by the main entrance, framed beside other donors. Harrington Foundation, proud supporter of family safety programs. She wasn't just rich, she was the kind of rich people wrote articles about, the kind that funded hospitals and schools and community programs. And she was looking at Ethan like he was the one who mattered most. "You really don't remember me?" Claire whispered. Ethan swallowed. "I remember someone," he admitted. "A woman crying, a bruise on her wrist, a too clean coat for shelter." Claire's lips trembled. "That was me," she said again, voice breaking. "I ran from my father's house. From his control. From..." She stopped, glancing down at Maya. She didn't want to say too much in front of her. Ethan's stomach tightened. He knew that kind of silence, the kind adults use to hide truth from children. A security guard cleared his throat awkwardly. "Ma'am," he said to Claire, "police are here. They'll need your statement, and the child's." Claire nodded, eyes still on Ethan. "Of course," she whispered. Then she looked at Maya and kissed her hair. "Sweetheart, you did everything right?" She murmured, "Everything?" Maya's small voice came out shaky. "I did the sign," she whispered, like she needed to hear herself say it again. Claire hugged her tighter. "Yes," she said. "And that man saw you." Maya peeked over her mother's shoulder at Ethan. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan's throat burned. He nodded, unable to speak. The door opened and two police officers stepped in. One was older, calm eyes, not aggressive. The other looked young and alert, scanning the room. The older officer spoke gently. "Ma'am, I'm Officer Ramirez," he said. "We're going to ask a few questions. You're safe?" "She's safe. Okay." Claire nodded quickly. Ethan expected the officers to treat him like staff again, like a bystander, but Officer Ramirez looked at Ethan's uniform and asked, "You're the one who intervened?" Ethan swallowed. "Yes, sir." "You see him grab her?" the officer asked. Ethan shook his head. "No," he admitted. "But she signaled for help. Then she dropped a note. It said, 'Not my dad.' And when I suggested we go to security, he refused. When security got involved, he ran." Officer Ramirez nodded slowly. "That's strong," he said. Then he turned to Maya. "Sweetheart, can you tell me what happened?" "Just the simple parts." Maya clung to her mom, voice tiny. "I was waiting," she whispered. "He came. He said my mom sent him. He told me if I scream, he'll hurt her." Claire's face crumpled. Officer Ramirez's expression hardened. "Okay," he said gently. "You did great. You did the right thing." The younger officer stepped out, speaking into a radio. "We've got a suspect description," he said. "Black jacket, cap, mid-30s. Last seen near loading dock." Claire's voice shook. "Will you catch him?" Officer Ramirez nodded. "We have cameras and exits covered," he said, "and now we have a clear report." Ethan exhaled slowly, but his body still felt like it was vibrating. Because the danger wasn't over yet. Not really. Claire turned to Ethan again as the officers wrote notes. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You've saved my daughter," she said, eyes shining. "Again." Ethan frowned. "Again?" Claire swallowed. "You saved me in that shelter," she whispered. "You didn't even know it. You gave me proof that not everyone was like my father. That kindness was real." Ethan's chest tightened. "I was just hungry," he murmured. "And so was Lily. That sandwich." Claire shook her head sharply. "Don't shrink it," she whispered. "You don't get to shrink what it meant to someone who was drowning." Ethan looked away, shame rising. Claire's voice softened. "I've searched for you before," she admitted. After I got out, she swallowed hard, after I rebuilt my life, I wanted to find the man who helped me when I had nothing." Ethan blinked. "Why didn't you?" he asked. Quietly, Claire's eyes dropped. "Because I didn't know your last name," she whispered. "And shelters don't keep records the way wealthy people think they do." Ethan felt something twist inside him. He remembered how invisible he'd been back then too. A file. A number. A man with a child and no address. Claire looked up at him again, voice shaking. "And then today, I saw your name tag," she said. "I thought I was hallucinating." Ethan's mind spun. This wasn't coincidence. It felt like something heavy and old was circling back. Then one of the security guards spoke, hesitant. "Ma'am," he said, "we'll escort you and Maya to a private office until this settles." Claire nodded, then looked at Ethan. "Come with us," she said softly. Ethan blinked. "I can't," he said automatically. "I'm working." "I have." Claire's eyes sharpened gently. "You think this is still about a job?" she whispered. "That man could still be in this mall. You're not going back out there alone." Ethan hesitated, fear and pride wrestling. Then his phone buzzed. A message from the babysitter. "Ethan, Lily asking where you are." "She's worried." Ethan's throat tightened. Claire saw his face change. "Your daughter?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "She's home," he whispered. "With a sitter. I'm late." Claire stood slowly, holding Maya. "Then we fix that too," she said. Ethan frowned. "Fix it how?" Claire's voice was steady now, like the CEO she truly was. "I have drivers," she said. "I have security. I have resources," she looked him in the eye. "And I owe you more than words." Ethan stiffened. "I don't want charity," he said quickly. Claire's gaze softened. "It's not charity," she whispered. "It's protection and gratitude. Now it's your turn. Tell me one small good thing you did lately. Even if nobody noticed, write it in the comments. Because goodness grows when people stop thinking it's pointless." Ethan looked at Maya, still shaking, still clinging to her mom. He imagined Lily at home, checking the door every minute, wondering if her dad would make it back. His chest tightened. Finally nodded once. "Okay," he whispered. "Just get me home to my daughter," Claire exhaled, relief washing over her. "We will," she promised as they left the security room with officers and guards surrounding them. Ethan felt eyes on him, mall staff, security workers, even a few shoppers who'd gathered near the hallway. Whispers followed. Was that the janitor? Did he stop a kidnapping? Who is that woman? Ethan kept his head down, but for the first time in years, invisibility didn't feel like safety. It felt like a cage he was finally stepping out of, and he didn't know what would happen next, because when a powerful woman decides you matter, your life doesn't stay small. The private office was quiet, but the quiet wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that comes after fear, when your body is still shaking, even though the danger has moved away. Maya sat curled up on a leather chair, holding a small paper cup of water with both hands. Her knuckles were still white. Claire sat beside her, one arm around her shoulders like a shield. Ethan stood near the window, staring down at the mall floor far below. People still shopped, still laughed, still carried bags like nothing had happened. It made Ethan angry in a strange, tired way, because the world always kept moving. Even when someone almost disappeared, a security supervisor stepped in. "Ma'am," he said to Claire, "police are reviewing footage. They think the suspect exited through the loading dock, but we have partial plate numbers from a camera. They're working it." Claire nodded sharply. "I want updates every 10 minutes, she said, voice cold now. "And I want my daughter out of this mall immediately." "Yes, ma'am," the supervisor said quickly, then glanced at Ethan. "And sir, you should also leave. You did the right thing." Ethan swallowed. "I just want to get home," he muttered. Claire looked up at him. "Your daughter's name is Lily," she said softly, not asking. Ethan's shoulders stiffened. "Yeah," he said. Claire's expression softened. "How old?" 7, Ethan replied. His voice was tight. "She's probably crying right now because I'm late." Claire's eyes flickered with guilt. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Because of this," Ethan shook his head. "Don't," he said gently. "It's not your fault." "I'm glad." Maya signaled. "I'm glad I saw. I'd rather be late than—" He couldn't finish. Claire nodded slowly, understanding the unfinished sentence. Then Maya's tiny voice broke the air. "Do you have a kid?" she asked Ethan. Ethan turned. "Yeah," he said softly. Maya stared at him, eyes still wet. "Does she get scared?" she whispered. Ethan crouched a little, keeping his distance. "Sometimes," he admitted. "She tries not to show it, but I see it." Maya looked down at her shoes, still mismatched. "I tried not to show it," she whispered. Ethan's throat tightened. "You did better than most adults would," he said. Maya blinked hard. "I thought no one would understand the sign," she whispered. "I thought I'd have to go with him." Claire's breath hitched. She pulled Maya closer, trembling. Ethan felt something hot rise behind his eyes. "You didn't have to," he said firmly. "You're not alone." Maya looked up at him. "You were alone in the shelter?" she whispered suddenly. Ethan froze. Claire flinched. "Maya," she murmured, but Maya's eyes were innocent, not cruel, just honest. Ethan swallowed. "Yeah," he admitted. "We were." Maya's voice was soft. "I'm glad you're not alone now." Ethan's chest cracked open a little. Before he could answer, the door opened and 2 police officers stepped in again. "Officer." Ramirez's face was calm but serious. "Miss Harrington," he said, "we have strong evidence the suspect has tried this before. We're treating it as attempted abduction. We'll be in touch with an investigator." Claire's jaw tightened. "How could he get so close?" she snapped. "How did security not see him?" Officer Ramirez's eyes softened slightly. "Because predators don't look like monsters," he said quietly. "They look like normal people. They blend." Ethan felt those words in his bones. Claire nodded sharply, then turned to the officer. "I want protection for my daughter," she said. Immediately, Officer Ramirez nodded. "We can arrange extra patrol near your home," he said. "But the best thing right now is to get her someplace calm and safe." Claire stood, lifting Maya gently. "We're leaving," she said. Then she looked at Ethan. "You're coming with us," she added. Ethan stiffened. "No," he said. Quickly, "I'm going home, alone." Claire's eyes held his. "Ethan," she said softly, "you're still thinking like you're not allowed to need help." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I can't owe you," he whispered. "I can't be someone's project." Claire's voice broke slightly. "You're not a project," she whispered. "You're a person who saved my child, and a person who once saved me." Ethan looked away, shame and pride battling like fists. Claire took a slow breath, then lowered her voice. "Listen," she said. "I'm not asking you to become part of my world. I'm asking you to let me do the one thing I never got to do. Thank you properly. Ethan swallowed hard. Then he heard it in his head, Lily's voice from so many nights. Daddy, why do you never ask for help? Ethan's throat tightened. Fine, he whispered. But I need to see my daughter now. Claire nodded immediately. My driver is downstairs, she said. We'll get you home. With security. Ethan's stomach twisted at the word security, something he'd never had in his life. If that moment hit you. If you've ever watched someone refuse help because they were afraid of what it meant, leave it. Because pride can look like strength, but sometimes it's just pain wearing armor. They moved quickly through a private exit. A black SUV waited near the service area, headlights cutting through the gray evening. 2 security men opened doors. With practice speed, Ethan helped Maya into the back seat first. She clutched her mother's coat, eyes scanning everything like she expected danger to jump out again. Claire slid in beside her, then looked at Ethan. You sit in front, she said gently, so you can breathe. Ethan hesitated, then got in. The door closed with a soft thud that sounded expensive. As the SUV pulled away, the mall shrank behind them. The city lights blurred through the window. Claire spoke quietly. Where do you live? Ethan gave his address, embarrassed by how small it sounded compared to her world. The SUV drove into a neighborhood where streetlights flickered and the sidewalks were cracked. Old buildings leaned a little, like they were tired too. Ethan's chest tightened. Just here, he murmured. The SUV stopped near a rundown apartment building. Ethan's stomach twisted with shame. Claire didn't comment, she just looked out the window and said softly, This is where you've been raising Lily alone. Ethan nodded. Yeah, he whispered. It's not much. Claire's voice was steady. It's home, she said. Ethan got out, heart pounding, and hurried toward the entrance like he could outrun guilt. Upstairs, he heard Lily before he saw her, a small voice, shaky and furious. He thought he'd be home. Ethan pushed the door open. Lily stood in the living room in pajamas, cheeks wet, fists clenched. Mrs. Grant stood behind her, worried. Lily's eyes landed on Ethan. For half a second, she froze. Then she launched herself at him like a storm. Dad, she cried, punching his chest with tiny fists. Where were you? I thought. Ethan dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around her, holding her like he was holding the whole world together. I'm here, he whispered. I'm here. I'm sorry. Lily's sobs broke against his shoulder. Mrs. Grant's eyes were wet too. She glanced toward the doorway, where Claire now stood quietly holding Maya. Mrs. Grant blinked. Oh, my. Lily pulled back slightly, still clinging to Ethan. Her eyes darted to the strangers. Who are they? She whispered, fear creeping in. Ethan swallowed hard, because now he had to explain to his daughter why a rich woman and a scared little girl were standing in their doorway, and why today had changed everything. Continue. Ethan kept one arm around Lily, as if letting go would make her vanish. It's okay, he whispered into her hair. You're safe. Lily's eyes stayed locked on the doorway. Claire stood there, in an expensive coat that looked completely out of place in Ethan's cramped apartment. Maya stood half behind her, still pale, still trembling, holding a small stuffed keychain like it was a shield. Mrs. Grant hovered near the kitchen doorway, confused and protective. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. Dad, did you bring trouble home? The question hit Ethan like a gut punch, because Lily had learned too young that trouble liked poor houses. Ethan shook his head quickly. No, he said softly. I brought people who needed help. Lily's gaze flicked to Maya. She looked scared, Lily whispered. Maya swallowed and nodded. I am, she admitted. Claire stepped forward slightly, careful, respectful. Hi, she said gently to Lily. My name is Claire. This is my daughter, Maya. Lily didn't say hi back. She tightened her grip on Ethan's shirt. Ethan forced a slow breath. "Lily," he murmured, "Maya did something really brave today." She used a silent signal to ask for help. Lily's eyes widened. "Like the wrist sign?" She whispered. Ethan nodded. "Yes." Maya blinked at Lily. "You know it?" Lily nodded slowly, still suspicious. "My school taught us," she said. Maya's lower lip trembled. "I did it, and he saw," she whispered. Glancing at Ethan. Lily looked back at her dad, shocked. "You saved her?" she whispered. Ethan swallowed. "I tried," he said quietly. Mrs. Grant stepped forward, voice firm but kind. "Ethan, what happened?" she asked. Ethan exhaled shakily and told them the simple version. All silent signal. "Security room, police." He skipped the parts that would make Lily's nightmares worse. He didn't skip the most important part. "She wasn't safe," he said, "so we made her safe." Lily stared at Maya, her expression shifting. But fear in Lily's eyes didn't disappear. Fear doesn't vanish that easily, but something else rose beside it. Understanding. Lily moved closer slowly, still half behind Ethan. "Are you okay?" she asked Maya, voice soft but direct. Maya shook her head. "No," she whispered, "but better." Lily nodded like she respected honesty. Then she disappeared into the bedroom and came back with her favorite stuffed dinosaur, the one with one missing eye. She held it out to Maya without a word. Maya froze, surprised. "For me?" Lily shrugged. "He's brave," she said simply. "He protects." Maya took it carefully, like it might break, and hugged it to her chest. Her shoulders loosened for the first time. Ethan's throat tightened. Claire watched Lily with wet eyes. "You have a good heart," she whispered. Lily frowned. "I'm just normal," she said. Claire's voice broke. "Normal kindness is rare," she said quietly. The room fell into a softer silence. Then Claire spoke again, turning to Ethan. "I should take Maya home," she said. "But I didn't want to leave without making sure you were safe too." Ethan stiffened, old pride rising. "I'm fine," he said automatically. Claire looked at the cracked ceiling, the thin curtains, the cheap couch where Lily slept sometimes. She didn't judge. Her eyes didn't carry pity. They carried recognition. "You weren't fine in that shelter," she whispered. "You were surviving. There's a difference." Ethan's jaw clenched. Lily's small hand found his again, quiet, steady. Claire swallowed hard and said, "Ethan, do you remember what you told me back then?" Ethan's breath caught. "No," he admitted. Claire's eyes shined. "You said you don't have to earn kindness by being perfect." Her voice shook. "I didn't believe you. Not then. But that sentence, it kept me alive." Ethan stared at her, stunned. He didn't remember saying it, but he could imagine it, because it sounded like something he'd want Lily to believe. A knock hit the door, suddenly hard. Official. Everyone froze. Lily grabbed Ethan's arm. Mrs. Grant's eyes widened. Ethan's heart slammed. "Who is it?" he called, voice tight. "Police," a voice answered. Ethan exhaled, but his body still shook as he opened the door. Officer Ramirez stood there with another officer. His face was calm but serious. "Mr. Cole," he said, "we need to ask a few follow-up questions, and we need to warn you." Ethan's stomach dropped. "Warn me about what?" Officer Ramirez glanced at Claire, then back at Ethan. "The suspect didn't get away clean," he said. "We found his car. He's connected to a small group that targets children in crowded places." Claire's face went pale. "A group?" she whispered. Officer Ramirez nodded. "And Mr. Cole," he said carefully, "your face is on Mull. Camera footage now. You intervened. You were seen clearly." Ethan's mouth went dry. "So?" Officer Ramirez's eyes held his. "So you may have made yourself a problem for them?" Lily's fingers tightened on Ethan's arm. Dad, she whispered, fear returning. Ethan swallowed hard. Are you saying, he began. Officer Ramirez nodded slowly. I'm saying be alert, he said. Lock your doors, don't walk alone at night. And if you see anything suspicious, call. Immediately, Claire stepped forward sharply. I want protection for him, she said. For his daughter. Officer Ramirez nodded. We can arrange patrol in the area, he said. But understand, these cases can be unpredictable. The officer handed Ethan a card. My direct number, he said. Use it. Ethan's hands shook as he took it because this wasn't over, not really. After the officers left, silence crashed back into the apartment. Maya hugged Lily's dinosaur tighter. Lily whispered, Dad, are we in danger? Ethan's heart squeezed. He knelt in front of Lily, holding her small hands. Listen to me, he said, voice gentle but firm. We're going to be smart, we're going to be careful, and we're not alone. Lily's eyes filled. But Mom said, she choked. Mom said bad people find poor houses. Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to tell her mother was wrong, but he couldn't fully so he told her the truth that mattered. Bad people look for quiet, he whispered. They look for people who think no one will help them, but today, you saw what happens when we don't stay quiet. Be honest. Could you forgive after someone tried to harm your child? If they were caught and begged? Type forgive if you believe in second chances. Or never if you think some lines can't be uncrossed. Your answer says something real about your heart. Claire cleared her throat softly. Ethan, she said, come with us tonight. Ethan blinked. What? To my home, Claire said. Just for one night, security, cameras, safe rooms. Her voice softened. For Lily, for your peace. Ethan's pride rose instantly. No, he said. I can't drag Lily into your billionaire world. Sheffield, Lily interrupted, voice tiny. Dad, I don't want you to die, she whispered. The words crushed him. Ethan stared at his daughter, tears burning. Claire's eyes filled too. Please, she whispered. Let me do this. Not as a rich woman, as a mother. Ethan's chest trembled. He looked at Mrs. Grant. She nodded gently, urging him. Maya hugged the dinosaur and whispered, come, like it was the only gift she could offer. Ethan's pride finally cracked. He nodded once. Okay, he whispered, just tonight. Claire exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years, and as they began to pack a small bag for Lily, Ethan realized the truth. The silent signal didn't just save Maya, it had pulled Ethan's whole life into the light, and now the light was going to reveal things Ethan had spent years hiding. The Harrington house didn't feel like a home at first. It felt like a fortress. Tall gates, cameras that followed movement, a driveway so smooth. Ethan's worn shoes looked like they didn't belong on it. Lights that turned on automatically as the SUV rolled forward, like the property itself was watching. Lily pressed her face to the window. Is this a hotel? She whispered. Ethan tried to smile. Something like that, he said softly, but his stomach twisted with the same old shame. I don't belong here. Claire met them at the front steps with a security guard beside her. Not intimidating, just present. She kept her voice gentle around the kids. Hi, Lily, she said warmly. You can call me Miss Claire if you want. Lily clung to Ethan's hand. Okay, she whispered. Maya held Lily's one-eyed dinosaur. Close. Her face still looked tired and scared, but she walked a little steadier now. Inside, the air smelled like clean wood and soft candles. Everything was quiet, no neighbors arguing through thin walls, no distant sirens, no dripping ceiling. Ethan felt his shoulders lift, like his body couldn't trust the calm. Claire led them to a cozy sitting room instead of a grand hallway, as if she knew big rooms could make poor people feel smaller. There's hot chocolate, she said too. Lily, and if you want to change into something comfortable, I have pajamas in the guest room. Lily blinked. You have extra pajamas? Claire smiled sadly. I have a lot of things, she admitted. Sometimes too many. Ethan watched her say it and realized she didn't sound proud. She sounded lonely. Maya sank onto a couch and curled up. Lily sat on the edge of the seat like she was afraid to leave fingerprints. Ethan hovered, not sitting, not relaxing, still listening for danger. Claire noticed. Ethan, she said softly, you can breathe here. Ethan nodded, but he didn't believe it yet. A maid appeared quietly with a tray mugs of hot chocolate topped with marshmallows. Lily's eyes widened like she'd seen magic. She took the mug with both hands. This is fancy, she whispered. Maya gave a small, shaky smile. It's normal for me, she said. Then her smile faded, but today didn't feel normal. Lily looked at Maya carefully. Are you still scared? She asked. Maya nodded. Lily took a slow sip of hot chocolate, then said something simple that made Ethan's throat burn. You can sit by me. Maya slid closer. Two little girls, both brave in different ways, sharing warmth while adults carried heavy fear. Claire watched them, tears shining. Thank you, she whispered to Lily. Lily shrugged, trying to look tough. My dad says if someone is scared, you don't make fun, she said. Claire's voice cracked. Your dad is right. Ethan's phone buzzed again, this time his supervisor. He stared at it. Claire noticed. Work? She asked. Ethan swallowed. I missed my shift, he admitted. If I lose this job? Claire's eyes softened. You won't, she said firmly. Ethan frowned. You can't. Claire raised a hand gently. I'm not going to be your boss, she said. I'm going to do something better. She looked toward a desk near the wall and opened a drawer, pulling out a small card. This is the mall's general manager, she said. The mall contracts your cleaning service, yes? Ethan nodded slowly. Claire held the card out. Call him, she said. Ethan stiffened. I can't just call. Claire's gaze was steady. You can if you saved a child in his building, she said calmly. And if he cares about lawsuits? She softened her tone. Ethan, you did nothing wrong. Don't punish yourself by staying silent again. That word again. Silent. Ethan looked at Lily and remembered Maya's silent signal. He swallowed hard and dialed. The call was short. The manager's voice went from irritated to alarmed to respectful within seconds. By the end, he promised Ethan would not be fired and would receive paid leave until things were resolved. Ethan hung up, stunned. Lily's eyes widened. Dad, you won? Ethan gave a shaky laugh. I guess I did, Maya whispered. Good. The house settled into night. Claire arranged for guest rooms close together so the kids wouldn't feel alone. Lily insisted Ethan stay in the room beside hers. Promise you'll be right there, Lily whispered, tugging his sleeve. Ethan knelt and kissed her forehead. I promise, he murmured. When Lily finally drifted to sleep. Ethan sat on the edge of the guest bed, staring at the quiet luxury around him, feeling like he'd stepped into someone else's life. A soft knock came at the door. Ethan opened it to find Claire standing there, wrapped in a simple robe, hair down, no makeup now. Without the power costume, she looked tired. Human, can we talk? She asked quietly. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. Yeah. Claire stepped inside and shut the door gently. She didn't sit right away. She stood near the window like she didn't know where to place herself in a room without an audience. I haven't slept in years, she whispered suddenly. Ethan blinked. What? Claire's eyes filled. Not real sleep, she said. Because when you grow up with control and fear, your body doesn't believe you're safe. Even in a mansion. Ethan's chest tightened. He understood that too well. Claire swallowed. When you helped me in that shelter, she whispered. It was the first time a man had been kind to me without wanting something. Ethan felt his throat go dry. Claire, she shook her head. I don't tell people this, she whispered. They think I'm strong. They think I was always rich. They don't know I ran away barefoot. Her voice broke. They don't know I changed my name. Ethan stared at her. Change your name? Claire nodded, tears spilling now. My father is not just controlling, she whispered. He's dangerous. And when Maya was born, I promised myself she would never learn fear the way I did. Ethan's stomach tightened. Is he connected to the man today? He asked, voice low. Claire's eyes widened slightly. She didn't answer. Immediately, that pause was an answer. Ethan stood up slowly, dread crawling up his spine. Claire, he whispered, tell me the truth. Claire's voice shook. The man who tried to take Maya? She whispered, he's one of my father's men. Ethan went cold, because suddenly the warning from Officer Ramirez made terrifying sense. This wasn't random crime. This was personal. And now Ethan and Lily were inside Claire's fortress. With a war at the gates, if you believe love still wins, even when fear tries to own you, comment, amen. Sometimes hope isn't a feeling. It's a decision you make in the dark. Claire wiped her tears quickly, ashamed. I didn't want you dragged into this, she whispered. But you're in it now because you saw, because you acted. Ethan's hands clenched. What does your father want? He asked. Claire's voice turned small. Control, she whispered. He always wants control. He thinks Maya belongs to him. He thinks I belong to him, and when I ran, he promised I'd pay. Ethan's mind flashed to Lily asleep in the next room. His heart thundered. Then we leave, Ethan said immediately. Tonight, Claire shook her head. No, she whispered. Outside is worse. Here we have security, cameras, police contacts. If we run, we become prey. Ethan's chest heaved. He wanted to grab Lily and disappear. That was his old instinct, run. Before the world could hit you, but running hadn't saved Sarah, and it wouldn't save Lily. Claire stepped closer, voice trembling. Ethan, she whispered, I need you to know something else. Something I've never said out loud. Ethan's jaw tightened. What? Claire's lips shook. The day you gave me that sandwich, she whispered, I was pregnant. Ethan froze. Claire's eyes filled again. I was alone, she whispered. I was terrified. And you looked at me like I still deserved to live? Ethan's chest tightened painfully. Claire whispered, that baby was Maya. Ethan felt like the room tilted because the girl sleeping down the hall saved by Ethan today was tied to the moment Ethan thought he was at his lowest. His kindness hadn't vanished. It had become a life, and now that life was in danger again. Ethan couldn't speak. For a moment, his mouth opened, but no sound came out, like the truth had stolen his voice. Maya, he whispered finally, as if saying her name again could make the room steady. Claire nodded, tears shining. Yes, she breathed. That night in the shelter, I was carrying her. I was shaking so hard I thought I'd lose her before she even existed. Ethan's hands trembled. And you never told anyone? He murmured. Claire shook her head. How could I? She whispered, my father would have used it. The world would have judged it. So I built a new life quietly, like a wall around her. Her voice broke, and today that wall cracked. Ethan's chest tightened as he pictured Maya's mismatched shoes, her brave little wrist signal, the way she held Lily's broken-eyed dinosaur like it was safety itself. He swallowed hard. I'm glad you ran, he whispered. Claire wiped her face quickly, trying to regain control. I'm glad you didn't, she whispered back. Most people would have looked away. Ethan exhaled shakily. Sometimes I've looked away, he admitted. I just couldn't today. Claire's eyes softened. Because you're a father, she said. And fathers see things other people miss. The house was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you listen for footsteps that aren't. There, Ethan glanced toward the hallway. Are the kids asleep? He asked. Claire nodded. Security is outside both doors, she said. Cameras on every angle. If anyone comes near the gate, alarms trigger. Ethan's jaw clenched. And the police? I've already called Officer Ramirez, Claire said. He's sending a unit to sit nearby tonight. Ethan nodded slowly, but fear still crawled. Under his skin, what happens tomorrow? He asked. Claire's voice shook. Tomorrow my father will pretend he knows nothing, she whispered. He'll smile on TV. He'll donate to a children's charity. And behind closed doors? She swallowed hard. He'll punish me for embarrassing him. Ethan's fists tightened. We can't just wait, he said. Claire looked at him. Then we don't, she whispered. She walked to a desk and opened a drawer, pulling out a thin folder. I've kept records, she said. Threats, messages, names, times, security footage from my own property. I never gave it to police because I was scared. Scared he'd destroy me in court? Ethan stared at the folder. And now? He asked. Claire's eyes lifted. Now he came for my daughter, she whispered. And you saved her. Her voice hardened with a new kind of fire. So now I stopped being scared. Ethan felt something. Deep in his chest shift. Hope maybe, or the beginning of courage dawned at that moment. Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Nice hero act at the mall. Stay quiet next time. Ethan went cold. Claire saw his face change. What is it? She asked. Ethan showed her the screen. Claire's lips went pale. That's him, she whispered. That's my father's style. He never says his name. He just lets you feel his shadow. Ethan's throat tightened. He has my number, he whispered. Claire nodded. He has everything, she said, which means we have to move fast. Ethan's hands shook as he typed back, but stopped. Deleted it. Silence was how predators grew bold, but reckless words could get. Lily hurt. Claire placed her hand gently on Ethan's arm. You don't have to fight him alone, she whispered. Ethan looked toward Lily's room again, imagining her small chest rising and falling under a blanket. He whispered, I'm tired of being alone. Claire's eyes filled. The next morning, the mansion's kitchen was filled with soft sunlight. Lily padded in wearing oversized socks Claire had given her. Maya came in behind her, still holding the dinosaur. For a few minutes, they were just kids, two little girls eating pancakes. Like the world didn't contain monsters. Ethan watched them with a knot in his throat. Claire entered with a phone pressed to her ear. Her face was serious. Officer Ramirez is on his way, she said, hanging up. And Ethan, there's something else. Ethan's stomach tightened. What? Claire swallowed. Your supervisor called me, she said quietly. He said, someone offered him money to fire you. Ethan's blood ran cold. What? Claire nodded. My father, she whispered. He wants you desperate. He wants you silent. Ethan stared at his hands. Remember every time he'd swallowed his pride just to keep food on the table. Lily looked up, sensing the tension. Dad? She whispered. Are you mad? Ethan forced a smile and walked to her, mewing. No. Bug, he said softly. I'm just thinking. Lily hugged his neck. Don't go away, she whispered. Ethan closed his eyes. I'm not going anywhere, he promised. Officer Ramirez arrived an hour later. He sat at the long dining table, looking slightly overwhelmed by the mansion, but his eyes stayed sharp. Claire slid the folder across to him. Everything, she said. Threats, names, recordings. Officer Ramirez flipped through, expression tightening. This is a lot, he said quietly. Why didn't you bring this sooner? Claire's voice cracked. Because I was ashamed, she whispered. And because he taught me fear was safer than truth. Officer Ramirez looked at Ethan. And the text you got, he said. That's intimidation. We can use that. Ethan nodded, throat tight. Claire's eyes were fierce now. I want my father arrested, she said. Officer Ramirez didn't promise what he couldn't. We'll move, he said. But it may take time. Powerful men don't fall quickly. Ethan leaned forward, voice low. Then we make sure the kids are safe while it happens, he said. Officer Ramirez nodded. We'll place protection, he said. And we'll move on the suspect from the mall first. That's our entry point. Claire exhaled, trembling. Thank you, she whispered later that afternoon. After officers left to begin their work, Claire stood with Ethan on the back patio. The wind moved through tall trees. For the first time, the mansion didn't feel like a prison, it felt like a shelter. Claire looked at Ethan, eyes soft. I still remember that sandwich, she whispered, not because of the food. Because you looked at me like I wasn't ruined. Ethan swallowed hard. You weren't, he said quietly. Claire's voice shook. And you, she whispered, you're not ruined either. You're just tired. Ethan laughed softly, eyes wet. Yeah, he admitted. I'm tired. Claire nodded. Then, let people hold some weight, she said. That's what love does. If this story moved you, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like not for me, but for Ethan, who refused to look away. For Claire, who finally chose truth over fear. And for Maya and Lily, two little girls who proved bravery can be silent and still change everything. One click is your way of saying, I felt you. Moral. Sometimes the loudest heroism is not a punch, not a shout, not a spotlight. Sometimes it's a small hand tapping a wrist, and one tired father choosing to see it, because kindness isn't just a moment. It's a chain passed from one broken person to the next, until someone finally feels safe.